So, what I've learned about students and trauma is that it can affect them in so many ways I didn't know, all the way down to, speech and language delays. Um, but for me, what I learned is that um, students that experience trauma should be looked at in a way of how can I help this child, knowing that, students that have trauma in their lives, say from home, tend to be more of a behavior issue. And instead of looking at them as that problem student, we need to look and know their story. We need to be open to our own biases. We need to be aware of all the cultures in our classroom and respectful. We need to train our professionals on how to deal with students and trauma, address how those are barriers for that child to become educated. We need to especially look at students that are come from the welfare system or the foster care system, because typically those students, children, have lived through things that maybe typical students don't or haven't. The other thing I learned is, as teachers, we have to understand that our culture has changed. From when I went to school, I came from a 6-person family. We had dinner every night at 5:30 when my father came home, and my mother. It was all good, and it was your typical family unit. That doesn't happen anymore. It's not the regular thing like it used to be. So we need to be open to that, and we need to accept that, and we need to not think of it, their lifestyle and their culture, as something, as a hindrance, but maybe to understand it. It really kind of brought me back to, as silly as this sounds, for young elementary students, when they get to do the All About Me poster, and you're the special person of the week, and you get to make a poster and bring in photos of your family and maybe your favorite food and all of that stuff. I think things like that need to continue so that we can learn from each other. And, we have a very diverse culture, especially now in California, and we need to celebrate that. Also, things like, I guess the last thing I'd say is when my daughter was in 5th grade and the teacher did a cultural night. So she invited all the families, and everybody could bring a dish from their ancestors. And if they wanted to, they could dress up, but they could bring pictures of their ancestors, where they were from, flags from other countries. And you learn a lot. And it's in a very respectful and controlled environment where nobody's teasing anybody else from, where they come from. It's a very respectful way to do it. So I would say the bottom line, as far as teachers with students and administrators choosing curriculum, is just to respect each other's culture and celebrate it instead of trying to fix things. Let's look at every student as coming from their own background, good or bad, and not make a judgment on it, but say how can we help this child.